Wednesday night. With us today is Senator Ron Johnson from the great state of Wisconsin. And, he's one good American, one great American. And Wisconsin, most of the common sense is with Senator Ron Johnson in Wisconsin. Well, Senator, what would you like to talk about this evening?
Well, you're kind, John, but this is one American whose heart is still mourning for another great American, Lindsey Graham. Served with him for 16 years. He was like 3 months younger than me. He was deaf in his left ear. I'm deaf in my right ear, so we kind of a match set. We knew which side to sit on each other to communicate. But, I watched for 15, 16 years, and, a lot of conservative criticism against Lindsey. He's a warmonger and, a moderate, and Lindsey Graham. See, I heard all those things. But I knew Lindsey. He was a friend. He was a patriot. He dedicated his life to this country in service. And, one thing I want to communicate, because I don't think people really understand, you just hear some vicious things being written about him even after he passed. He was so respected and he was so influential around the world. That didn't just happen. That happened from years of dedicated and arduous travel. And people don't realize, you put in a full week here at the Senate, and John, we are booked to the gills. You hop on a plane on a Thursday night to fly overseas for 7, 8, 12, 18 hours. You land, you haven't slept very well. You do full day of meetings. You eat something, you go to bed, you don't sleep well, get up, do the same thing, and then you fly back to Washington, D.C. for another full week. That takes its toll. You do that week after week after week, and it takes a toll. And what Lindsey did during this 2 weeks recess, the NATO conference into Ukraine, he was hopeful that maybe we had the formula to finally bring a peace to that stalemate. And he comes back, and again, an arduous trip, and then an aortic aneurysm ends his life. And people need to understand that he basically gave his life to this country, and I don't think we consider that. I don't think we're thoughtful enough about that. But I just appreciate the ability, on your show here to talk about my friend and really a great American and somebody that not only I miss, not only does the Senate miss, America miss, the world will miss Lindsey Graham.
Senator, I agree with you 110%. I knew Senator Graham. I spent a lot of time with him. Now, one of the question marks coming up, now, when U.S. senators fly abroad sometimes, you fly abroad, what, C-17s?
Well, sometimes we on government planes. Sometimes we fly commercial.
I understand. Because would you know which way he was flying back? Because the C-17s don't have the good enough atmosphere sometimes, and that could have caused them to have the problem.
Yeah, again, I really don't know. We have that aortic aneurysm, and those things can, be undetected, and they can just pop, for a number of different reasons. High blood pressure. I mean, that's up to the family to really consider that. I will say the government, McMaster's choice of his sister Darlene was just inspired. She just, I just met her yesterday. She seems like such a wonderful person. The way she handled herself in that press conference, it was. Couldn't think of a better place, a better person to finish out his 6 months of his term here.
Understand, and I agree with you 110% because he was one great senator in the United States of America. Our country's going to miss him because he always said it the way he felt. That he's like you, Senator. He always got it off his chest the way he really feels about things, and thank you too for doing that for our country. Anything else you want to talk about on tonight's show Wednesday?
Well, with his passing, I'll become chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. And I take that responsibility very, very seriously. I know we're trying to push forward a third reconciliation package. It won't be easy, but, my role is going to be to do everything I can to coordinate the House, the White House, and the Senate, and, do politics. And, politics is achieving what is possible. Not necessarily exactly the way you want it, but that's a responsibility I take very seriously to our conference and to America.
Let me ask you, Senator, the SAVE Act is one of the most important cases that's coming up in the U.S. Senate. Is that going to go through?
Well, there's multiple versions. Money to encourage voter ID or real ID that would include citizenship. So there are things we're looking at. But again, John, I've been a supporter when President Trump called to end the filibuster. As much as I'd like to have the filibuster, like a lot of my Republican colleagues, when Democrats get power so we can stop their destructive policies, I realize that when they get the power, they'll use it, they'll end the filibuster, so we should do it now. I mean, it's unbelievable how obnoxiously obstructive the Democrats are right now.
I agree with you. Senator, thank you for coming on this Wednesday night, and we'll talk to you. We'll probably talk to you again on Sunday.
Every day.